Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to episode 6 of On the Virtual Track. And I've been looking forward to this one for multiple different reasons. One of them, as you can clearly see in the picture, I am James Parvitt. I'm your host this evening. I'm going to be having a chat with Stacie Scott. Stacie is a driver within CMS, who I know through R Factor 2. So let's bring her straight in there as well. Stacie, welcome in. How are you?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Well, I'm pretty good, I guess.
You guess. Okay, we got to touch on it before we even go any further. Why do we have a neck brace?
I had a herniated or a ruptured disc in my neck, which was causing a pinched nerve bundle that was running down my left arm, and it went all the way to my fingers. It got to a point out. So last year I was racing all year with basically with one arm and just downshifting with my left fingers, and that was it. I couldn't use my left arm for anything else. So,
Right.
it felt like the whole thing was like I slept in it wrong for you ever wake up, you ever
Yep.
have too many drinks, you wake up, you're like, oh, I slept really bad. It felt like that for 5, 6 years or more. So I finally got it checked out. Finally, had MRI done, and they saw that, so they had to remove the disc and put some cadaver bone in there, and then fuse it all together with a plate that goes in front. So they had to move my esophagus and stuff over to one side and go from the front and dig all that old disc out and put the stuff in and then put it all in. But
Okay, well, that's me cringing for life. Anyway, oh no, well, don't forget, guys, if you are listening on Spotify and you're wondering, right, you can't actually see what we're talking about, what I will do is upload the video onto Spotify so you will be able to watch it as well. It will go live on YouTube next Tuesday, so don't panic, it will be there at the same time, so you will be able to have a look and see what we are talking about in conjunction with the situation that Stacie is basically saying. There you go. Oh, that one. So let's break into it then. You know, most people do racing within sort of F1 and ACC and iRacing, but you're an R Factor 2. How did that come about in RF2?
well, I started out with PlayStation 1 way back. Just doing all they had back then was basically NASCAR, and then EA Sports had a F1 way back then. I don't know if that was PS1 or PS2, but I remember having a Formula One 2001, I think it was. I think it was PS2, yeah. Um, and stuff. And I was doing it all controllers and stuff. So and then I went into PS3, and then I had a few other Formula One games. I got rid of NASCAR stuff. I was doing NASCAR too because that's all they had. But the NASCAR got kind of like too gamey. Like they're doing weird tracks and this and that. It's like this isn't realistic at all. So and it just seemed cheesy to me. So I was like, I wanted something more realistic. And I've always loved race cars. My dad worked for Snap-on Tools, and Snap-on Tools is a major sponsor for Penske and stuff. And I got to meet Rick Mears and Little Al and Big Al at the Milwaukee Mile in just up the road from me. So when I was a little kid, and I remember asking Rick Mears if one day if I could be a race car driver, and he was like, "You sure can." And I was like, I was so inspired by all that. So
Yeah.
I've always watched all the Indy cars of Indy 500s, and whenever they had those Wide World of Sports on Sundays, they would have sometimes they'll have some Formula One or some Le Mans series or whatever we used to call it, ELMS, I think, or something way back in the day. Uh, and I would watch that whenever I could, and I just been in love with it ever since, and so I just kept on racing whenever I could. And once the game consoles came out, that was basically one of the first games I ever bought was just racing games. Any racing game I could get on, just to drive fast. So then I went from there to I got done with the consoles after PlayStation 3 because they're getting too damned expensive, and they were replacing them every so many years, and it's like,
Yeah.
why not just get a damn computer, and you can get it all there. So I've got a computer and went in Steam, and then found a Formula One on there, 2018, I think it was, something like that. But anyways, started out there still using controllers, and then well, I was doing a part-time job for a while there, cleaning and stuff. But and I had some money, cash money coming in, and I was like, "Yeah, what the heck? I'll buy me a steering wheel." So I bought a steering wheel, and I was doing it on the F1 game there. Um, then I was doing it. I had it all on my table first, and I was like, "That's not gonna hold up." So then I got a
That's what
stand.
I've
So
got. You're laughing. That's what I do. I'm driving tonight at Martinsville in a Cup Series,
oh,
and
there you go.
that's what I've got. I've got my G920 hooked on my desk because I've got
Yeah.
like a 6 foot desk, and
Oh, okay, there you go. Well,
I've got no other room in behind me. There's my
mm-hmm.
daughter's pram over there as well, which
Oh,
she
okay.
uses as a dad's storage yard. So I'm in the same boat, and that's the thing, isn't it? You go from these things to steering wheels, and then all of a sudden RF2 came around.
Yeah, yeah, and I was like, okay, I wanted to get something that's more simulation like, and I was like, seeing so I got a steering wheel, I was like, why not? So I went and searched, on YouTube with all the ones and all the YouTubes, which one's better, or this kind of thing, and I just said, RF2 looked pretty good because it has a lot of mods and stuff you can get download free and stuff like that. So I just went there, just started racing. Last year I bought it. Last year, about a week before the Daytona, 24 hours at Daytona, when I bought the game. So that's how long I've been driving on RF2.
Well, for about a
Was just
year.
over a
And
year. Yep.
how did you end up in CMS then? How did all that come around?
Ross Smith, I was just sitting in the RF2 Discord, and Ross Smith asked me about, just talked to me about, hey, do you like to race longer races? I was like, yeah, I want longer races. That was all I was wanting, was longer races and more people, more skilled. I guess I would have to say, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of them that are just, they come and ram you and you're done and stuff. So yeah, I just wanted something with more experience with people that with a group. I liked I liked the whole group thing. So and he invited me, and I was like, wow. I had just right there. I knew it was a perfect match. So and I've been there ever since at CMS Racing. Great place, love it.
Yeah, I did. CMS is good. They are so friendly, and obviously we had Scar Pope on the other week, and that was a
Yeah,
complete and utter madness of a
yeah.
podcast, to be blatantly honest with Scar. And that's the
Oh
thing. I think
yeah.
there's so many nice people over there that you can have a chat to and
hmm
enjoy yourself with. But what sort of things do you like racing? What sort of cars is Stacey's main sort of thing to drive?
Right now it's kind of like I love the classic vehicles. Like I was doing with the Sim Racers Revival last year. We were
Yep.
doing the 70s uh prototypes and stuff. Yeah, and I needed those classic ones. And then CMS had the 64s, or I think it was, yeah, 1964s last
60,
year.
yeah, yeah.
And now we're doing I like all the classic ones because the designs on those cars, the aerodynamics and stuff, it just looks so cool back then. Now everything's kind of like, it's coming back to it a little bit, but the flow and stuff was just so cool. And then the designs and the paint jobs was
Mm,
just, and because all the paint jobs, they weren't just like a vinyl covering, they were real paint jobs.
yep.
And I love that kind of stuff. And all that kind of artwork is done. You don't have that kind of artwork anymore. I love the art. I love the art. I love the paint and draw and stuff. So yeah.
I did think the thing is, most of the bodies I was watching NASCAR the other day, and unfortunately, I'm a little bit of a NASCAR fan,
Okay.
and they were mentioning the bodies, and some of them were still sort of like metal almost, and hand
hmm
painted and all this sort of thing, and some of the schemes are absolutely amazing, and
hmm
that's how it all sort of for people to enjoy and mix up and get yourselves involved. And how was it then if your dad worked for Snap-on, which is, we know over here, I've got Snap-on tools and stuff like that. What was it like in and around as a kid growing up in that sort of environment? Because clearly you started in that environment at the race circuits.
Yeah, it just was because Road America is just up the road too, which is the best road track in America, in my opinion. I love
Yeah.
that track. It's fun. It is so much fun. Four and a
Yeah.
half miles. You don't like it?
Head north of the border and give me Moss Sport any day.
Ah, okay, all right, all right. Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. All right, but let's see. My all my uncles and stuff. They all. I mean, I was more of a tomboy growing up, so I had my all my cousins. I had a couple girl cousins, but they were younger, so it's like I didn't get a chance to really do stuff with them. When I was around with everyone was the older boys and stuff in my family, so everyone did that. So I went along with them, and everyone just kind of like uh, well, brain, sorry.
That's all right.
um, Question again. Sorry,
What was it
I
like
get
growing up?
lost.
What was it like growing up around the racetracks?
Oh, seeing the cars and being in the pit lane areas and the back areas, just the sounds and the roaring of the roaring of the cars, and seeing all that spent rubber on the turn one and the back turns of the Milwaukee Mile there, where you just see it all crumble up because we'd always have seats in the front, either turn one or turn three or four. I mean, because those were always where the accidents would always happen. It's
Yeah.
either one or four, and each year it always changed because that track's always changing. But um, but yeah, so we'd be having front row seats in there and just watch them cars just drive around that fast, and those the Indy cars is just it was just I don't know how to explain it. And then there's Hales Corners was just up the road, which is a dirt track. So yeah, you gotta wear goggles and pretty much like put a towel over your face or a scarf, or else you're eating dirt the whole time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's this whole area. There's all kinds of small quarter mile tracks or eighth mile tracks around here. So there's a few people that came from the Kenosha. There's a driver, I think Quapple. I think he was from Kenosha, Wisconsin. I think I believe so. If it's because I know some Quapples. I have some friends that I grew up with that were they were Quapples. Their last names are
Yeah.
exactly. So it's not a very uh, uh, popular name in the area. Not like a Smith or something. You know.
Yeah, it's not a common name, is it? Let's be
No,
real
very
about it. But I think
not
that's
very
the thing,
common.
isn't it? What's it like having all of this choice around here? Because obviously, I've got one road race circuit an hour up the road, and then everything else is like 3 hours in and around up through the middle of England. Do you feel then that you've sort of seen a lot of different motorsport and not just kind of tracks? You've seen ovals, you've seen dirt, and got to meet different personalities of all genres almost.
Yes. Oh, and then there's also Great Lakes Dragway was just down the road. Saturdays and Sundays, all you'd hear all weekend long was just the engines go, "Wah," you know, like they're
Yeah.
just cutting off. You could where I was at, I lived in a small village, but they were down by the interstate, and you could hear those engines all the way at our place, several miles away, and you could still hear those vehicles. And when they let the jet engine ones go, it was just all you hear is the pops and just flying.
Yeah, that's
But
what
yeah,
we've got coming up in a couple of weeks. And we're going up to Santa Pod drag racing,
okay.
and my boy does junior drag bike
I guess.
racing, I suppose would be
Oh,
the
there
word.
you go. Yeah, and this whole area is Wisconsin. I guess is kind of like a very good place for any kind of racing, especially if you have ADHD. Because there's so many different types of racing. There's where they used to have the snowmobile snowcross up in Eagle River, where they would skidoo and stuff like that. Where some former Indy kart drivers got their starts in snowmobile
Yeah.
racing up there, and yeah, and then there's Crandon, Wisconsin, where they have the off-road Bajas, and there's so many dirt tracks around here. It's just there's just whatever you want to do, you can do it, and
Yeah, this is
it's
absolutely
just so much
bonkers.
it's just everywhere. It's our culture here. That's all I can say. That and cheese. I love the cheese. And brats. We love our brats. Can't go wrong with brats. Beer brats.
Okay, well, I'll have to take your word for it on that one because I'm not familiar with that kind of area and
Oh,
beer brats. I'm not even sure what they are, to be honest. What are they exactly? I'd
they
have to
are
use.
bratwursts. They're
Oh,
German sauce. Yeah,
sausages.
yeah. They're sausages. And what you do, you boil them and put some onion and some garlic and boil them in some beer.
Yeah,
And then
made from pork, spices, and herbs, apparently.
yeah. Then what you do, boil them in the beer, and then you cook them on the grill. Then you throw them back into that boiled beer, and then you put them on a bun, and you savor with the onions that were cooked in there too. And oh, it is so tasty! It is just wonderful. You should try it sometime.
Okay,
Why don't
well,
you guys come out? Yeah,
yeah, I've got to get there first. And at the
yeah,
moment, with me
it's really good.
and 3 children in tow and the wife, it costs me
Oh
a
yeah,
lot.
true. Well,
So
you could if you have a grill outside, you could do it. It's
I,
easy enough. Well, are
I,
you
the
not a
problem
cook?
is I
Are
don't
you?
drink, Stacie, so I'm not quite
Well,
sure
no,
where I'm going to stand on the beer.
But you no, you don't drink it. You use it to boil. The alcohol boils out.
Oh,
All
okay.
the alcohol's gone by the time yeah, because it'll be boiling. The sausage is cooked the sausage is cooked and boiled up in the beer, so he gets the flavor of the beer into there. Have you ever had have you ever had a beer?
Yeah,
You
I've
know
had a
what
beer.
beer
I
tastes
just
like?
haven't
Okay.
drunk, I don't know, 10,
Well, yeah,
12 beers,
it
something
doesn't
like that.
get you all. You don't get buzzed. Well, yeah, you don't get buzzed unless you want to get buzzed by drinking beer on top of it and all the
Yeah.
other stuff. But yeah, no, it doesn't. We've used to be. I've eaten them my whole life, so it's since I was a little kid.
Second
So
nature.
it's safe. Yeah, it's safe to eat for kids too.
That's all right then, because I don't want my 14-year-old running around drunk.
Yeah,
Let's just put it that way.
yeah.
And I think that's the thing is for me when everybody's like, oh, we'll get together and we'll have a beer. I'm like,
Hmm.
no, I'll have a soft drink.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the days of waking up with a stonking hangover is well and truly gone for me.
Yes.
That's not
Yeah.
fun in any shape or form. So I
Nope.
definitely
I
don't
don't.
enjoy that.
Yeah, I've had my days of that. No more. I'd rather.
Yeah.
I'd rather smoke than drink. You know, the
Yeah.
cannabis. So
So we'll keep it PG. That one.
oh yeah, oh that
Uh,
one. Oh, hey,
Okay.
it's medical. I use it for medical because I do have chronic migraines and seizures, so I do use
Oh,
it for
okay.
medical reasons.
Well, that's fine then, as long as we can keep
Yeah.
it for that one. I
Yep.
think for me, one of the things I noticed is obviously, from doing this podcast and talking to different drivers, we've got this kind of massive age range. I've
Hmm.
spoke to Gene, who's 26, and Jakob last week, it was only 22. And then you've got the upper echelons of Al Corey, Scar Pope's kind of nestled in the middle, and is it harder, do you think, with racing as you get older? Now, I'm going to presume that, you're above 40, right? I'm not,
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
like asking a lady her age, so I'm going to go above that. But how do
Yeah.
you find the racing? Do you feel that you're slowing down? Do you feel your reactions aren't quite there? How do you see yourself in the mixture of everybody in around you?
Well, I base it on how much adrenaline I'm getting because if you've been doing it since you're 26, then you get to my age, you don't get the adrenaline rush that you would get when you were 26.
Hmm.
So since I've only been doing it a year, I'm there the whole time with a total adrenaline rush. So my nerves are firing on all 12 million cylinders, cell cylinders. And so it's as long as my body's going to work, it'll do it. But then I do have problems brain wise because I do get seizures. I fractured my skull way back in the day, and then I had a massive seizure, which leaves it to me where I can't drive anymore. I haven't been able to drive for 12 years. So this is my only escape right now is driving
That's how your
simulator.
driving is.
Yeah, that's
Is
why.
done.
Yeah, so if I'm just sitting there cruising, I'm just going for a Sunday cruise on some days. But no, not when I'm racing though. But
I
I'm
think
just
that's the
lucky to
thing,
drive.
isn't it? it brings you the excitement that you can't get unless you're doing it in real life, and
Yeah.
we know that can be expensive, and it can and cost a fortune and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people underestimate that kind of buzz that you get from sim racing in
Hmm.
conjunction with doing it, because obviously we all haven't got £1 million budgets, and we all can't stick ourselves on racetracks, but it kind of gives you that substitute feeling that you are actually a real life driver.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the main thing. I'm sorry. I'm always like playing with my steering wheel. It's like, yeah, I'm pimping here. Get the bass beat going.
Yeah, cruising down Hollywood Boulevard. You're all there. I can see you now in your soft top cruising down there.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Gen Xer. That's all I say about that part. I'm a Gen Xer,
Hey,
born
you and me
and
both.
proud of it. And
Yeah, you and me both. Don't you worry about it. We're
yeah.
right up there with everything on this one. So, and where do you see? When do you think you're going to wake up one day and go, "That's enough"?
When my hands don't work no more, or my eyes don't work, it's something. I'm just gonna keep doing what I want to do, as long as people accept me for racing. Let me do what I want to do, and if I'm a little slower, but I'm not crashing other people, I'm fine. You
I
know,
agree.
I'm not hurting anybody. I'm still earning points, and I'm not hurting doing anything wrong. And I'm trying. I'm learning all that right now. I still want to write a book on how to get past. How to be past in the dark or something like that. Wasn't there a movie like uh Racing in the Rain? Or like you're getting past in the dark. I think I'll write a book about that because I'm very good at getting past now.
I think that's the hardest thing when you're getting lapped. It's always tough knowing where to go and what to do,
Yeah.
and the confusion. And I've
Yeah.
had many debates with multiple different people about blue
Mhm.
flags, and I've had George Angelina's conversations about
Oh gosh, yeah.
passing, and we've been a bit through everything. And what do you sit back and look at for yourself when you are racing? How do you go in? Because some people go in and they go, I want to win. I just want to win. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna go last to first corner. I'm gonna crash
Mhm.
I'm gonna win. How do you set your goals?
To survive, just to make it to the end without hurting anyone else's races. That's my main thing. And if I um if I get a good position where I'm, like what was it Sebring, within the last 10 minutes of the race, I was in position for a P5 finish. I was going with was it Dave Anderson? Yeah, in the AM class, him and I were battling it out for fifth place, which was really good for me.
Mm.
And I just went too hot into turn one, and rookie mistake, and bam, and I became a wheelbarrow, as you called me. I remember that, boys. Hmm.
This is the only thing I think doing this is interviewing people who are like, I remember that one time you called me a wheelbarrow, or you called me inconsistently inconsistent, or whatever, and I'm just sitting there going, oh
Yeah.
dear, yes, yes, I did.
I just play
Unfortunately.
with you about that. It's like that time when there was that delay at what was that Qatar, and we are talking about how awkward the track was. Um, and I explained how awkward it was. What I said was it was as awkward as my grandma
Yes. Wasn't it as awkward as
flirting
your
with my
grandma?
girlfriend. Yeah,
Yeah, it was just like,
right
I
in front
literally
of
said,
me.
I think that's the thing. I think you see so much and so many characters in that. Somebody said a line the other day, and I turned around and said to him, I am so stealing that line on, and he said it in the broadcast yesterday for the Radicals.
Oh God.
And I'm trying to find, where did he, I wrote it down because I was like, I am so stealing that, because it was just so funny that he said, and it just absolutely creased me up. But this is the thing, you say so many different things, and I think it's one of them things. He said it was like playing chess because they were driving at Monza Historic with the oval,
Okay.
and
Yep.
the
Yep.
racetrack inside of that. And he said
Yep.
it was like chess in an angry bee's nest, playing chess in an angry bee's nest. And I was like, I am so nicking that one
That's a yeah.
because it was also, if you've watched the racing from last night's Radicals, you should. It was just
Okay.
absolutely amazing on that one. Where
Oh,
do you sit back sometimes, though, Stacie, and do you ever self doubt yourself? Do you ever sit back and go, oh, "Am I too old for this? Am I not too old for this?" How because we all get older,
well,
wake up with new pains every day.
well, I just started out, so I can't really say if I'm too old for it because, like, or am I just still too new to it yet? I don't know yet,
Oh,
So
that's a glass half full question.
yeah, because I don't know yet because I'm still learning. So I'm not that good. I know that, but I am getting better than I was last year. So every race I get more knowledge. So I am still like a really beginner compared to some of these people that have been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah,
So I've only been doing this for a year and a month or so. So it's like, yeah, I can't say it's old age because I'm new at this. So I could just say it's rookie mistakes for now until I get a very more knowledgeable comprehension, maybe trying different cars and stuff
mm,
like that, learning, where my pros and cons are, where I'm better at, what cars I'm better at. And I'm just still finding that all out. So I'm just exploring as much as I can. You know, that's all I can say about it.
try.
I'm not too
Yeah,
old. I can't
I
say
think
I'm
I
old.
think that I love that analogy of what you said. It was like, am I too old or am I just too new? And I think for a lot of people, sometimes, I spend my evenings, commentating. That's obviously what I do, and
Hmm.
I don't drive hard at all, hardly at all. I'm driving later on
So,
as a guest in a series, but that's only because I unfortunately shot my mouth about how good I was driving NASCAR at Martinsville, and
oh, I
then I got
remember hearing about that.
yeah, and then I got dragged into it. But this is the thing. It's do you sit back some days and think, as long as it remains fun, you're
Mhm.
happy doing this?
Yes, exactly. That's it. Uh, do what you love the best. Um if you love your job, it's basically the same thing. If you love your job, you'll never have to work a day in your life. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's the thing. There's so many people that do work and unfortunately hate what they do. So,
exactly, and I
you
feel
know,
bad for them for not being able to do what they really, really wanted to do
um,
with their lives.
yeah,
It's
that's the
just
thing. And
terrible.
what is it? What keeps you going outside of sim racing? Because I only ever talk to you within, if you're in the YouTube chats or, like we are now. What
Mhm.
what sort of keeps Stacie sort of alive and ticking outside of the sim racing world?
There's not much for me, but um, I'm an activist in a way, politically here. I live in the States, and well, it's a kind of a hot mess here, and that's as far as I want to go on that. And so,
Yeah, that's a subject that could cause many dramas. And
yeah, and
remember one of the questions I said before we started, is there anything you don't want to talk about? And you were
yeah,
like, no, we can talk about anything.
well,
And now we're backtracking quite quickly here on that statement
well,
at the
well,
beginning.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but it might hurt. I am trying to boost my channel, my streaming and stuff like that. So I don't want to have haters and stuff like that coming in and doing all their, all the negative toxicity.
Yeah, the way I see it, Stacey, to be blatantly honest, if they hate you for your political views, then what's the point of having them in the first place? I got
True,
friends,
very
and
true.
we clash massively
Mm-hmm.
over political views in general. I
Mm-hmm.
think everybody does. I don't think there's ever an end goal. I was talking to Jakob, actually, it might be a good one for you to talk about. He does studies political science in
Mm-hmm.
university,
Okay.
and we sort of briefly
Oh yeah.
touched on it, and we said that nobody really agrees on politics because
No.
there's never an end goal where one will convince the other.
Exactly. Yep. And that's, in a way, I think that's where the voting and the popular vote, not an electoral vote. Electoral's garbage.
Hmm.
That was made up of in that should go away in this country. Electoral votes. They're, you know why that was put in place here in the colonies back in the day, where the electoral votes, because the elitists back then said the populations were too dumb to vote for themselves, so then they would do it for them. That's what it was. And that's
Mm,
what electoral votes is now. If we
yeah,
got rid of that, this whole
it,
country would be in a lot better place it is right now, I tell you
oh,
what.
it's a broken system. I think that's the thing in
Yeah,
politics. Same in the UK. We have
corruption.
this, yeah, we have this thing called first past the post, and one party only needs 65,000 votes to get a
Hmm.
seat, where another party may need 1 million votes to get a seat. You know,
Yep.
it's completely wrong. But anyway,
But
outside of
Gen X is
yeah,
Gen X has learned a lot from boomers and stuff of what they've done, and we've learned from them what kind of toxicity they try to give to us. And, being latchkey kids and this and that here in America, we were always just let loose wild in the
yeah,
summertime,
that's where we was as
drinking
well.
out of water hoses
Yeah, you leave the house
and
at 8:30 in the morning and you don't come
and
home
then
till the
get back
street
home.
lights come on.
Yep, exactly. That's it.
Yeah,
And
I think that's the thing. I never quite understood, and I can never pinpoint a moment where this labeling of individuals and age classes really came in. You know, when I was a
yeah,
kid, it was like you just grew up. You were a kid, and
hmm
your parents were old, or if you
yep,
really were taking the Mickey out of them,
dinosaurs.
yeah, dinosaurs. That's what I was going to say, ancient or fossils or whatever. This whole Gen X, Boomers, Millennial,
Yeah,
and whatever.
hmm
Keep it.
yeah.
I
There's
don't really care. I have no
labels.
class for that.
Yes, exactly. Well, I guess really, if you really think about labeling things, came in like high school times, or even, because like, well, because no matter what year it was, because back in the 40s and 50s, there were the preppies back then, there were the greasers and all that kind of stuff, they were
Yeah,
all,
but you never
they
labelled
had
a
their
whole
cliques,
age category, did you?
but you had to start out with something somewhere.
I don't
And
know. I
then
think
they
it's all
just
a
kind
crock
of
of shit, to
evolved
be
from there.
blatantly honest.
It just kind of evolved from there. I don't know.
Well,
But,
I don't know. I think, as I said, I think it's a crock
because
of crap. I think labelling is just rubbish in general,
yeah.
no matter what it is. And I think that's the thing in this whole modern world. What outside of your political activism, are we gonna? Can we? I always you sit there sometimes and I feel that you've got cats.
I have a cat, one cat. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's fine. Because I don't know, I sensed that all of a sudden you were going to come and tell me that you have 18 cats or something.
Yeah. Not
Stacie the
that
cat
crazy
lady.
yet. I'm
No,
not that
but
crazy quite
do
yet.
you?
At
Not
least I
yet.
don't hear voices in my head like you do all the time. Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, you blame Paul Glover for that one. He's like a little bug that go away, makes you
Yeah.
feel like I'm at a schizophrenic party.
Yeah.
For Paul, but I think this is the thing. Where do you go? From from you'll finish here, and it's still sort of, what is it, 5 p.m. or something out your way.
Mhm.
What do you get into in the evening? What do you like doing and sitting down doing?
I'm a rather boring person, but no, I love to do artwork too. I do draw and paint and stuff. My favorite medium is oil painting. Um, but I'm trying to get more into doing chalk art, something that I can do in an apartment because I can't sling oil paint in here. It'll just go everywhere, and I don't want to pay for that mess. At the end if I have to leave here. So so I'm trying to find smaller mediums and cleaner mediums to work with. So watercolors, chalk, and colored pencils and stuff like that. I'm trying to learn. So I'm doing that on the side, but lately I'm just been so much. I haven't driven in so long that getting a hand on a steering wheel, I want to do it. Just right now, it's like I want to drive right now. I
Mm.
can't get enough of it right now. I'm just if I'm not doing that, I'm watching some anime or drawing, and that's about all I really do. I love to cook too, but I can't eat all the time.
Well, you could do,
So
but you'll be rolling in your rig, wouldn't you? Let's be real about
yeah,
it, Stace.
yeah.
If you sat there with just constantly eating, you'd be
Hmm.
rolling into it, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? Do you still get down the racetracks nowadays, or is that something that you've sort
I,
of passed on that one?
well, since I can't drive, it's kind of hard to go anywhere, and none of my friends, well, I don't have many, but none of that I know of, like really sports car racing and stuff like that, like I do. So if I knew someone around here that would take me to,
Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Burlington, Wisconsin,
All
but
right, if
yeah, I'm just
anybody's
right up the
listening
road from
and you're in
Milwaukee.
Burlington, Wisconsin, leave a message on Spotify or on the YouTube video. And if you go down to racetracks locally, and you can hook up and pick Stace up, I'm sure she'll be much appreciated
That
of
would be
that one.
awesome.
So if anybody's out there listening and you live in that way and you visit the racetracks, and let us know, either through the comments or drop us a DM if you're in Discord, and we'll get you out and about again, Stace. Get you
That would be great.
motoring.
I miss having the sound of the thunder and the roaring going through your chest. Just that whole the throbbing of it. The thumping of the motors, the engines, and that feeling is just so awesome, intense. It's just I don't know how to explain it. If you haven't felt it, you haven't lived yet. So that's all I can say.
I agree. I agree. I think the newfound love of doing what I did the weekend just gone, and taking my son for his first drag bike, first drag bike racing, and
Oh, I got a story about that.
we literally, I was stood behind him while he was revving the engine up, and then he let off, and it was just like vroom. But it was quite funny actually, because where our pit lane is here, the
Hmm.
turning and the pairing lanes was there, and our little caravan that I bought and renovated was literally behind the wall or behind the metal fence. So every time the cars went into the pairing lane, and we're like, vroom, 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 and like my little caravan's doing this, like, he's shaking, And at one point, you're sitting there in the afternoon and you're feeling slightly seasick because you've been doing this so much during the
Hmm.
day. But it's quite funny because if you watch some of the Santa Pod streams over in the weekend, and look at when they're in the pairing lanes, and they're just to the left hand side is my little blue and white caravan in the picture. So I'm on YouTube, everyone, for the
There you
caravan on
go.
that one. But
All
this
right.
is I think this for us is what kind of makes us going. I think this is what kind of makes you up. You're either a motorsport fan or you're not. There
Yep.
doesn't seem to be a thin line in between.
No, yeah, I, I do love I love watching my old classic NASCAR and stuff. I miss Dale Earnhardt Sr. After he passed, that was like it for me in a way. It's just like
Mm.
things went downhill because I remember they used to still hand pound all the pieces, the metals and stuff, and
Yep.
that stuff was cool to me. I like that they would hand pound all that metal out, and they'd still have to conform to their
Days
thing.
of
But
Thunder. That
yep.
literally is the film that you can sit there and you
Oh,
watch them put the piece over the top, and make sure it was all on there on the car that he had, and it
hmm
was a
the
different,
templates.
yeah, the templates that he had to adhere to from NASCAR regulations,
Hmm.
and I think now, maybe not NASCAR as much, but I know Formula One has got a little bit. It's gone too electrical. I think
Yeah.
the ability of the driver is very sort of gone almost.
Hmm. I wouldn't mind if they just had to just to automatic start kind of thing with a rolling start. That's all those cars really needed,
Mm-hmm.
because that's always sucked. Is like, oh man, his engine cut out. His race is done. What the hell? What kind of race? That's a boo.
Yeah.
Like that's no fun. Or when NASCAR or Indy cars had in the '90s and stuff had those pop off valves on the top of those engines, and if you had a bad one, boom, it would pop off, and it wasn't your fault. It was just the bad manufacturing of it. So getting rid of things like that just really helped out. But I did practice I did race uh uh drag bikes. My tattooist back in the day, um his buddy across the street had a drag racing bike, and I would be the tester to test out the new settings. because weight is
The guinea
horsepower.
pig.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, but I wouldn't have to go all out. They just wanted me, get, 85, 90%, just,
Yeah.
just run it through its course. And then they test everything out from there. But yeah, because weight is horsepower. And I was a little light little girl back then. So I'm only like, I'm 5'8", but
Oh,
I
that's
don't know if
quite
that's
tall.
tall. Yeah, I guess. Well, there's a lot taller in Wisconsin. They build them different here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I bet. I think that's the thing, and I think, my son's on a 125 cc two-stroke Yamaha.
Mhm.
You can go 75 miles an hour over an eighth of a mile, and that it's all still a learning process. I think in general, if you had an option and we was to say to you, right, Stace, we're going to now give you a choice of one car, one track. Where are you going and what would you put in?
Oh, most definitely it'd be the 787 Mazda on Le Mans.
787 Mazda. Okay.
787B, I believe it was. Yeah. That car was phenomenal sounding. It just shattered the inside of your bones.
Right. Okay. Let me, just for anybody that can't see this, I can't do my fancy screen sharing bit here. Let me just make sure I get the right window. So we're talking about that one.
That one right there, the green and orange. That thing right there is the. Oh, that melts my butter. I'm telling you what, that car.
I
I
think
wish it
that's the
was.
thing, isn't it? And
Yeah.
they are beautiful cars.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, where did
That
I
rotary engine was just phenomenally sounding. It was there was no other engine like it ever.
Where did I see them?
I
Hold
was
on a
hoping
minute.
that Ross would have put this in the Group C's, but I hope we get to do them again soon because I want to do this car so bad.
Yeah. Where would you put it? What track?
Le Mans, definitely Le Mans, always that track and
Why
that
Le
car.
Mans? If you had any circuit that you could put in any simulator, why Le Mans?
It's so much fun to drive. I don't know. It's
Ugh.
I love. I mean, well, I don't know too many tracks yet still, so I've only been playing it for years, so I've
You've
been
got all
learning.
them ones local to you. You've got to wonder a
They're not big enough.
plethora of race
No,
circuits.
that car is way too fast for those anything around here. Maybe Road America. Maybe Road America could handle it, but nothing else. You couldn't take that in a Milwaukee Mile. No way.
Well, it'd be a
Oval
quick
track.
mile. Be
Yeah,
a quick,
it'd
like,
be
quick. That would be
it'd
so
be
much fun, though,
boring.
wouldn't it? The
No, it'd
Mazda
be boring.
787B on an oval.
Nope. That'd be too slow. You go like 80 miles an hour. That's it. Whoop-de-doo. I could do that in
Oh.
a Ford Escort, 3-cylinder.
You can actually. You are right.
Yeah.
You can do that,
Yeah, I
and
know. I've
that
done it.
yeah, I know. My partner made me laugh one day because just after we got together, I had a Ford Escort RS 2000 Mark IV, I
Hmm.
think it was, and she said to me, "Can I borrow your car? I just want to nip home and be back." Now, from where we lived at the time was about 25 minutes journey.
Hmm. All right.
So 25 minutes one way, 25 minutes back. She shouldn't have got back to me for and I estimated about an hour and 15 by the time she's ran in and got what she needed to get.
Hmm.
She got to home and back within 35 minutes. And I turned around and said, how did you get back so quick? She went, it's really weird. And I was like, oh God, please don't tell me you've done something to my car because it was my pride and joy. And I love that car. And she went, I was just pushing the throttle on the A303, the one of the roads by us. I said, all right. She said, yeah, I looked down. She said, your car does 135 miles an hour. And I didn't even feel like I was doing it. I was like, I haven't even done 135 miles an hour in my car. I said, what were you doing? She was like, I just sat there with the pedal, like driving. Yeah, cruising. Yeah. And next you know, she realised that she was doing 135 mile an hour backwards and forwards. So fair play to her for that one. That was a rebellious streak. So we're looking at the 787B at Le Mans. That would be your final choice.
I wouldn't mind Nürburgring, the big one. The green monster. Yeah, I can never say that word.
Nordschleifer, yep.
Nordschleifer.
Nordschleifer. There is actually the
that would be fun there too.
There was actually hold on.
My friend had I don't know if this was a racing car or not that back in them days, but a 70s Datsun 240Z. I don't know if they actually raced those cars or not. It was like an inline 8-cylinder or 6-cylinder.
Uh,
Yeah, it was a dual carburetor.
so
Um,
yeah. So the Nordschleife is the big one. It's
yeah,
154 corners and like 177 when you
yeah,
put them all together. So we've got the 787 at Le Mans or the Nordschleife.
yeah. Either one
That's
of
your
them just
choice.
to drive. Yep, that's
All
it.
right.
Yep.
Okay. And
Scott
we're
hooked
gonna.
me up with Nords. I fell in love with it after he hooked me up and convincing me to race that, and I love it now.
Okay. Well, I can agree with that. I think that would be an amazing thing. Last question, because I've always touched on this with people, and I'm very interested to see what your answer would be in this one. Where in 5 years' time do you see Stacie within simulation?
um, I would like to be in. I would love to be in other places other than just RF2. I'd love to do iRacing, but I can't afford it right now, so it's just too much money. Somewhere down the line, I'd love to do more racing of any kind, and maybe putting teams together and just having just running Great Scots Racing. I want to have a
I
team. I
like
want to
that.
do a team. If it's simulation, I want to simulate being the crew or manager of the team kind of thing, and just being in the background, kind of thing. That'd be fun too. I don't know.
I could see you on a in a real life team as a manager. I think you would be an excellent crew chief,
Uh, uh,
you'd be like, "Get it done now, now! We gotta go, we gotta go, 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 go!" I
yeah,
can see
after
you doing that.
Yeah, and I had to be telling them stories about my past, my hunting stories or fishing stories or something. They're like,
Yeah,
"Oh yeah, we gotta get to work now. Come on, come on, come on."
yeah. Beer swilling, tobacco chewing, spit drumming, stories out in the outback. I can see you doing that. I think
Yeah,
that would be actually. Stacie, it's been an absolute pleasure. It was probably the
thank you.
quickest 45 minutes, 50 minutes of my
Uh,
life, and it has been absolutely amazing
I enjoyed this.
as
This is
well.
awesome.
So thank you so much. Hopefully we can get timing and get you back on again. But it's been
All
absolutely
right.
amazing. That's it,
Well,
guys. That's
hopefully,
gonna go.
yeah. Okay, sorry. Go on. I was gonna say,
No,
hopefully,
no,
I
you
win
carry
a,
on. Go.
I'll win a class series or something, and then you'll be able to interview me then.
Oh,
So there you go.
God,
Who
blimey,
knows?
we could be there all day if we get you up in the interview booth, Stacey, couldn't we? We'd be a right, right thing
Yeah.
on that one. But there you go, guys. That's going to wrap up episode 6 of On the Virtual Track. Join us. This will go live on Tuesday, the 8th of April on YouTube. So you can come and have a look and see what we were talking about right at the beginning. And on that one, next week, it's going to be the turn of Adam Henwood, who is part of J2ICS, which is a league that we broadcast on JBB. His Discord name is Prince Adam, so I have to remember that as well. So we're going to be recording that one. But for now, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Goodbye.